5 tips to avoid hosting burnout. Bonus, most of these are free.
Hi, I'm Sarah Karakayan.
And I'm Annette Grant. And together we are
Thanks for visiting.
We've been hosting for well over a decade, welcomed tens of thousands of guests, and earned thousands of 5-star reviews.
Our portfolio continues to bring in over 1.5 million year over year, and supported not only by the industry's leading brands, but also some of the biggest media outlets.
And we're here to help you with your furnished rental.
Tip number 1, automated messages. These are the foundational automated messages we set up every time we bring in a new rental to our portfolio. I know that you are excited to connect with your guests. You want to make sure that you make it personable. You want to be hospitable. I get you. We're on the same page. But believe me when I say hosting burnout is real. And when you can automate what's appropriate, it's going to free you up to be hospitable in more personal ways. So these messages that we set up before they arrive or while they're staying in our rental or even after they're gone, these messages, the way we construct them, they already have a welcoming tone to them. You'll be ready to respond if they respond and ask a question. They're just ways that you can take a load off of your to-do list and make sure that you're giving your guests what they need when they need it.
And the reason we love these automated messages is you only get one chance to make that first impression. You only have to show up as your best host self one time. You can craft these messages, the message that you want each and every guest to get, because guess what? The guests aren't going to message you inquiries or questions when you are sitting there drinking your cup of tea. It's going to be when you're on the road, at your kids' basketball practice, at the grocery store, at work. So you want to make sure that you have the time, carved out. You can craft all of these messages and know that each and every guest is going to get that same best you. All right, Sarah, what is the number one message that these hosts today should set up that's going to free them up the most time?
If you were to set up one message today, I would do the message that automates once a booking is confirmed. This message sets up guest expectations. Immediately after the booking is confirmed, a message will go out to your guests that you get to write, you get to compose it, make sure it's full of a kind tone and welcoming words, but share with them the information that's helpful to them right then and there.
Yes, and then next steps.
Next steps in terms of here's when you'll receive all the other information that you'll need to make a great stay, whether it's 3 days before your arrival, you'll receive this and this and this, or a week out before your arrival, you'll receive this and this and this. Whatever that is for you and your rental, set that up then. But that way it automatically shoots off. Your guest has, before they even have questions to ask you about arriving at your property, they're going to receive this awesome message full of everything that they need to know.
Make sure to check out our video on house rules. This is really going to help you also avoid that burnout. It goes in great alignment with your automated messages. Tip number 2, ask for the guest's arrival time. Now you're probably thinking, well, they have their check-in time. They can check in anytime after that. Why do I care? This is why you need to care. Number 1, the check-in time for the guest, that is the most nerve-wracking time for them. They're at a new location. They're, either getting dropped off or parking. They're at maybe a new city, new town, new neighborhood, a new locking device. They are also, they're a little nervous. They're crossing their fingers. When I open this door, is it going to be what the pictures were when I booked my short-term rental? So here's the deal. If you can know when they're arriving, that way you can be close to your phone, ready to answer any questions if for some reason they can't get in or they have those immediate questions after checking in. Or let's say they are arriving very late at night. You can give them some tips and tricks of hey, it's going to be dark when you get there, and give them those tips. Or also your team or yourself or your partner knows, hey, you know what, when we're done cleaning, let's leave a light on or two. They're arriving late in the evening. But that way, I think just the way that you want to host, you want to know that your guest always gets in, gets comfortable, and knowing that arrival time will help you do that.
Talking about guest check-in and how it is the most nerve-wracking time for your guests, you've got to check out our video all about rocking out the guest check-in experience. When the guest tells you what time they're arriving, do not try to store it in your brain. If you're like most hosts, you've got other things going on. Maybe your full-time job, maybe you've got family activities, whatever that is, brain dump it. Now, we use a software to do this. So all of our operations, whoever's cleaning, whoever's inspecting, and guest arrival time is all in this software. But let's say you don't have a software right now, and that's okay. Do you have a Google Calendar or any sort of calendaring system that you use to help you map out your life? Just put in what time your guest is arriving that day, and this way it's off your brain, and when that day arrives, you'll know what time that guest is coming. Now, what if a guest doesn't tell you what time they arrive? Do not hound them for it. When I ask, I already let them know, like, if you're not sure but you have an ETA, all of this is helpful for us so we can help you make sure you get in. But regardless, we will make sure we leave the light on for you and that your code is operational, and we'll be standing by with anything that you might need when you do arrive. Just let them know, because some guests don't want to respond to you.
And we all know flights get delayed, we get stuck in traffic, and just life throws curveballs at you. So you can't hold them exactly to it, but it's a nice to know for sure.
Tip 3, set boundaries. Especially if you're new, you're gonna be excited about all the things it takes to host guests. And we love that, and we get that. But again, this is all about how to avoid hosting burnout. We've been there, and we've seen hundreds of hosts go through the same thing. So trust us when we say to try to set boundaries right now, both with yourself and with any team member you end up bringing on. Let's break this down.
Yeah, because hosting is part-time, but all the time.
Yes. When I say set boundaries with yourself, it really is start to recognize the parts of hosting that you may not love, or that combats itself with your life as it stands already, right? Like if whether maybe it's guest messaging and you work a full-time job, and like the one guest message is exactly when you're heading to work, or you're on the highway and it's not safe for you to respond, or maybe you don't love cleaning. Maybe you find yourself getting a little resentful when it comes time to reconcile your books, your bookkeeping at the end of the month. Just start taking mental note of the things as you're starting out that you don't love doing, and make a promise to yourself to set a boundary that as soon as you can, whether it's financially or you have the bandwidth, you're gonna find someone else to do this for you, because that's gonna help you in the long run love hosting for as long as possible.
Next though, we all know how hard it is to set boundaries with ourselves. The next, even harder than this, is setting boundaries with those team members that you hire. So let's get into that a little bit, Sarah, about how to make sure that your phone is not just now jumping off with all of your Airbnb requests, but also now your team members.
Right. The first person you'll probably hire in most cases is your cleaner. And you might want to set that expectation that you are always there for your cleaner. You want to support your cleaner. You also might be a little on the controlling side and want to know exactly what's happening during that turnover process, and we get that. Yeah, I want to know what's going on in my business. It took a lot to set up. It's expensive. I want to make sure that it's the best turnover possible, then it's ready for the guest and all that good stuff. But here's the thing. If you permit it, you promote it. And while your cleaner is turning over the property, if they text you like, oh my gosh, the guest didn't put the dishes in the dishwasher, or oh my gosh, this couch is full of pet hair, or sending you pictures every 5 or 10 minutes, it's going to end up wearing on you. So when you do meet with that cleaner and you go over that turnover process, set that boundary of when they do alert you, either of emergencies. Obviously, you want to know right away, if they come in, there's something that's going to affect the arrival and they need your assistance. Yes, of course, reach out to you. But if it really is just a recap of the turning over process, to come up with some sort of process, whether it's one text message or one email, or if you're leveraging a software, which is the most helpful, putting all those notes in there so it stays with that turnover. This way you're not getting pinged and bothered.
Yeah, and you're not just letting them vent to you.
Yes.
We like to, instead of a play-by-play, a room by room of how the guests left the home. You want to make sure that you don't become that venting partner to them. You are their employer.
So once you let the cleaner know, hey, while you're doing this, I'm doing something else. So this is the best way not only to communicate with me, but this is also the best way if it's all in one place, all in one go. I can then set my own to-do list of how to, whether it's set better guest expectations or get a maintenance task going, whatever that is. Setting boundaries with yourself and with your team is just going to help you avoid that burnout.
Tip 4, control your calendar. I have probably story after story after story of why you need to control your calendar. When I first opened my Airbnbs, I was open every single day for one-night stays, and you could check in any of those days. So here's where I'm gonna get into why you wanna control your calendar. I was out of town for New Year's Eve. I had to have my mom and dad help check my guests in. Thanksgiving, the guest was messaging me on Thanksgiving Day about, wait, where's the turkey baster? Where's this? I have holiday after holiday after holiday that I can share with you, guests checking in and me having to help them with their request. After those hard lessons learned of being on call every holiday, I started to control my calendar, look ahead and go, wait, let me have my check-ins on the day before Christmas Eve. And they, have a 4-night minimum over that. Or same with Christmas, with New Year's Eve, with any holiday, think ahead of time and can you require that check-in happen before? And it's not just calendar control for yourself, it's calendar control for your team. So they're not doing turnovers on those holidays. Now, that is just like a small section of, that's an easy thing to zoom out and know what holidays are or what national holidays are. But then I want you to really think about your overall calendar. Again, I was having one-night stays. You could check in every day. I love college football. I was literally going to tailgate in the morning, coming home, cleaning the place for check-in, and then going back to the game. That was a miserable time in my life because I allowed those Saturday game day check-ins. Why did I even do that? And I changed that, and it changed my entire social life, and I wasn't burning out trying to go hang out with my friends, go to a football game, and then check in a guest. So what does your calendar command? What does your family's calendar command? Could you get away with 2-night minimums so someone's checking in on Friday and they're not checking out until Sunday? We actually know hosts that don't allow any check-ins on Sunday. That's their day for their team and themselves to take off. And so I just want you to you're starting this business and you're the business owner, so we want you to own and control that calendar. Now, we understand I was open every day, checking every day because I wanted to make as much money as possible. But spoiler alert, this is actually a hot tip here. You can actually make more money if you have those longer 2-night minimum, 3-night minimums. So I just want you to really think, I know we all get so excited. You want to open up the whole calendar and you want to open the calendar up for the whole entire year. You also don't want to do that. Take your calendar and chunk it down to what you know is coming up, what big events are coming up, not only in your life, but in the life of your city. But please, you have to know your calendar. You have to be able to control it. And it is going to really help you from this hosting burnout. I know Sarah has a team and it's a big thing. If husbands and wives and people are cleaning and people are on call, you really want to be mindful of how the calendar impacts your partners and your entire team, your entire ecosystem.
Tip number 5, have a master spreadsheet. Okay, this master spreadsheet, you think it's in your brain, you know all the things about your property, but I promise you when you need to know something or when you hire a team and they want to know something, it needs to be somewhere where everyone can access that information. What am I talking about? Okay.
And we're not talking about what's the address.
No.
It's what is the VIN number of the refrigerator that just broke? Is that what it is?
It's
a VIN number? Serial number, VIN number.
But that's exactly right because, okay, so here's the deal. So the refrigerator is a great example. And where I started getting hosting burnout back in the day is when I did hire a cleaner, and then I also hired an inspector. And so this is the person who goes in after the cleaner and make sure that they did what they were supposed to do, and then just does a safety check of the whole apartment or home, and then also maybe leaves a gift for the guest or what have you, turns on lights, what have you. And I was paying these people a portion of the reservation, but then they would ding me and ask me questions at a time when I was doing something else, whether it's shopping for another property or working my other full-time job, whatever it is, and I was getting resentful a little bit because I was paying for this extra help, but I was still being involved in the turnover process, which was something I was trying to remove myself from. If you are new and that's a far off situation, when you're in your property and you are limited on time because the guest is maybe arriving in a few hours, it is great to have this bank of information all in one place so that if your cleaner's there and they have a question about the serial number for the fridge or who's the plumber that we like the most for this property, and who do we call if that plumber can't show
up?
up?
Electric company, gas company, trash removal, like that stuff all needs to be stored in one master spreadsheet.
Yes. So you could use a software. There are softwares that are specially geared towards the short-term rental industry where you can house all this information. But honestly, when I first started, I had a Google spreadsheet, and I still have it today. And it is this like awesome, robust spreadsheet. I now have I record myself doing things and I link to it like as a video in my drive so that, again, as I grew my team, I already had these how-tos in there. Every refrigerator, every microwave, all of it is documented in this spreadsheet. What coffee maker is at that property? Because if the guest shatters the jug, you need to know what make and model jug is gonna go with that coffee maker. So do yourself a favor, build out this spreadsheet, go through your property and mark out all those things that are...
I say Vin, she says...
What I do?
Identification. I say pot, she says jug. You said coffee jug. I would like to drink a jug of
called?
coffee.
A carafe.
A coffee.
It's called a carafe.
I could drink a jug of coffee. Don't tempt me with a good
what
time.
With a jug of coffee?
Drink it. Chug
Drink it.
Sorry, guys.
Anyway, spreadsheets gonna help you. Trust us.
And here's a tip for you. I learned this at a short-term rental seminar years ago, and I've really taken this with me. This is someone that has been hosting for even longer than Sarah and I. When times get tough and you have maybe a bad guest review or maybe you're not getting as many bookings as you wanted, we want you to have a place like a brag bank where you have your reviews, the people that have written you these reviews that you couldn't have even paid to have them written for you. Print those out or have them screenshot them on your phone. So when you are maybe getting in those burnout waters, you have a reminder of that why. You have those guests and you can read those like, oh my gosh, this is why I don't mind that there's some wine glasses smashed or a few towels that got ruined. No big deal because my guests are having the time of their lives and making memories of a lifetime at my property. So have those either printed out, screenshot. Those reviews just need to be there when maybe you hit some of those slumps in hosting to lift you up.
Speaking of getting ready to hire, whether it's a cleaner or an inspector, you wanna make sure that you have an agreement that is dialed in between you and that independent contractor if they're not an employee, which for most of us they won't be. We want to get you started on the right foot, so go ahead, check out the show notes. We have a link that will guide you through creating the perfect independent contractor agreement. With that, I am Sarah Karakayan.
I'm Annette Grant, and together we are Thanks for visiting.